Chapter 11. While You're Away.
Taylor wound up staying in the library for a week and a half. He did not read everything, although he did read a good portion of the library. He finished the last page of what he was reading and let out a deep sigh. He put the book back to its spot on the shelf as he had with all the others he had read. He wandered around the books, looking at the title, but mostly just lingering among the books. He had read on many topics, but now he felt it was time to go, however much he wanted to stay in this safe haven. He knew he would have to come out sometime. He had not gotten over what his parents had done to him. However, he had gotten to the point where he had made the decision it would not affect every part of his life. The time in the library had been a sort of mourning period for Taylor. His old life died completely now. The delusions Taylor had been under were now gone, and although it was the most difficult thing he had ever done, he decided it was time to step into his new life. He walked to the door, again letting out a large sigh. "Whatever will be, he said to himself, and pushed the doors open. He took one step out of the door and turned and closed the door. He came out of the library. His hair was in serious disarray, and he had not had a shower and hardly slept the entire time, and it showed on him. A vampire looked at him and smiled. Taylor returned the smile, and he started to walk. He found his way back to his parents' apartment. He knocked on the door and then pushed it open. Everyone was in the living room. They had basically been living in front of the television. They had been glued to the news for the last couple of days. Trisha heard a knock and stood up. When she saw it was Taylor, she broke into a run. Trisha ran to him when he walked in and hugged him. "You work it out?" Trisha asked. "Close enough for now," Taylor replied. They embraced. No matter what else, they always had a connection, and when they hugged, they both reveled in that feeling for a moment. He gave her a deep kiss on the lips. "You stink," Amy said, walking up and wrinkling her nose, giving him a light hit in the shoulder. "You look like Einstein, too," Trisha said, laughing. Taylor cocked his head to the side and busted out a grin. Taylor gave Trisha one more kiss and then returned the hit to the shoulder to Amy. Trisha led him to the shower. After a week and a half, she decided to let him shower on his own. As the water ran, Trisha sat on the bed, letting out a sigh. He seemed like he had at least gotten past something. However, it did not comfort Trisha fully with the state of the world. She waited for the water to turn off. The water did not stop running until 20 minutes later. He got out and dried himself off. He walked into the room where Trisha sat on the bed. "Sorry I stayed so long. It felt so good," Taylor said, walking in the room in a towel. "Well, at least your hair isn't all crazy anymore," Trisha replied, ruffling his wet hair. "Thanks," Taylor said. "For what?" Trisha asked. "I'm really lucky I found you before all this broke out. I don't think I would have been able to handle it on my own," Taylor explained. "And I'm lucky I found you. Taylor, I love you, and I wouldn't give up a moment of our crazy life." Trisha smiled. "I love you too. Well, thanks for sticking with me," Taylor replied. "Thanks for sticking with me. I won't say I understand what you're going through. I can't even imagine," Trisha replied. "But I'm happy to see you coming through it. I know it must be hard," Trisha said. "Well, yeah, it is, but I don't know. I have my life now, and they have theirs. If they want to be back in mine, they'll have to earn my trust back," Taylor said. "I think they will," Trisha replied. "Me too, but it'll take time. I just hope we can get help from them," Taylor replied. "Yeah, well, first you need to see some stuff," Trisha replied. Taylor nodded. They shared a kiss and walked into the living room. Trisha got him a cup of coffee, and they sat on the large couch. "You need to catch up," Trisha said, and popped onto the TV screen, which she then split into 6 screens and had news feeds started coming in. "Cool," Taylor said at the technology. "Watch," Trisha said. On CNN, the world riots, as they've been called, have now been happening for 3 days in major cities around the planet. Once the sun is down, the cities are unsafe, the anchor said. "That's right, Bill," the field reporter said. New York lay in chaos behind him. "No one knows why the riots are starting, but they are happening, although there are many rumors running rampant here in New York." Taylor watched the news feeds for half an hour. "They are gearing up," Taylor said. "What? Who is gearing up?" Taylor's mom asked. "The Nightshade," Taylor replied. It did not take long for the information to sink in. "Ashley!" Trisha said, fear in her eyes. Taylor and Trisha got up and went to the kitchen. Theraint and Amy sat drinking a cola. "It is good to see you," Theraint said as they walked into the room. "And you. Theraint, these riots. What if the Nightshade are increasing their numbers for war?" Theraint sat for a moment in silence. "That would not be good, but it certainly fits," Theraint said, his face in a bit of shock. "If that was the case, it would mean that the war was coming, and it was coming soon." Theraint stood. "Come with me," he said, and they all followed him into an office-like room. He sat at the desk and started to operate a laptop. On the wall a screen appeared. He hit a few keys and all of a sudden the screen lit up, and they were looking at the L.A. bomb shelter in Nathan's house. Austin was keeping watch, and he was dozing off. "Austin," Trisha said, smiling. He heard her and woke with a start. He looked at his screens and saw Taylor and Trisha in front of him. "Holy shit! How did you do that?" Austin sputtered. Trisha could not help but bust up laughing. Austin tried to look hurt but smiled soon after. "Theraint has all kinds of neat toys," Taylor replied, smiling. Theraint nodded and Austin did the same. "We are in Amsterdam," Trisha said. "I thought you were in Utah," Austin questioned. "Never mind that now. Is everything okay there?" Trisha said, waving the question away. Yeah, the riots aren't here in L.A., Austin replied. "Is Ashley there?" "Yeah, she's in the house. Let me go get her," Austin said and ran out. "So you think that Renard is controlling the Nightshade?" Amy asked, trying to catch up. "Yeah, I think he probably has gangs like the Nightshade all over the place. Probably called different things, so people don't know who's in control of the whole thing," Taylor finished. Austin ran up to the house and was out of breath when he found Nathan and Ashley. "Taylor and Trisha are on the, wall," Austin said, not quite knowing how to explain the call. "They need to talk to you." Austin got out. That was all they needed, and they ran out of the house and down into the door in the ground. Within a few seconds, Ashley and Nathan ran in, with Austin in tow. "Trish, how are you?" Ashley asked. All right," Trisha replied. She wanted to talk to her friend and explained all that had happened in the last few days, but there was not the time. "Hey, these riots," Trisha stated. "Yeah?" "We think the Nightshade may be behind them," Trisha said. "I knew there was something bigger going on," Ashley said. "Yeah, we think the Nightshade are gearing up, increasing their numbers for war," Taylor replied. "I don't know, Taylor. Everything we know says that the Nightshade were just in L.A., Nathan asked. "I doubt it. I bet Renard's been pulling the strings of the Nightshade the entire time," Taylor replied. "Just because they may be called something else, it is very possible they are still part of the hub, especially since you are quiet in California. You have eliminated their presence in your city," Theraint said. "Why now? 'Cause we kicked his ass?" Nathan asked. "No, they had to wait," Ashley replied, clarity washing over her. "The blood banks are ready," she whispered. "Blood banks?" Taylor asked. "Jean-Pierre," Trisha let out a breath. "Yes. Jean-Pierre ran a blood bank. He was the one that converted me. He showed me. Underground they had a warehouse, and it was full of people. They harvest blood from them, and they keep them drugged. That's why I asked Trisha to get rid of him. Jesus! He was always talking about being something larger. I get the impression they were tired of letting the humans run things. If they're all linked together, we're dealing with a lot of vampires." "Why riots, then?" "To build their numbers for," Taylor said. "War," Nathan said. His eyes were big. "So are you coming back to California soon?" Nathan tried to joke, but the fear was in his voice. "As soon as we can," Trisha said. "Okay, so I have to ask, how the hell did you pull off a call to my bomb shelter?" Nathan asked. Theraint came forward. "Nathan, your father was a dear friend of our kind, and his loss was felt by all of us," Theraint replied. "My father was a vampire?" Nathan asked. "No. Although he had been offered to convert on more than one occasion. He knew of our kind and saved many and brought them to us to learn the truth. He was accosted by a young vampire named Darius. I believe you've heard of him," Theraint said. Tears started to roll from Nathan's eyes. "Be proud, Nathan. Your father was a great man and achieved more than most vampires do in their entire lives," Theraint reassured. "And he would be extremely proud of you. He always believed that we should take more of an active role. You and Ashley have started to make his wish a reality," Theraint replied. Nathan, of course, was in shock. Ashley laid a hand on him. "I know exactly how you feel, Nathan," Taylor quipped, although he did not offer a laugh or even a hint of a smile.